Have you noticed that mornings don't feel the same anymore? Not just the slower stretch when you get out of bed, but that missing spark, the quiet, unshakable readiness you used to have as a younger man. Maybe it's been weeks, months, or even years since you woke up feeling truly alive, strong, and ready for the day. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone, and it's not just getting older. There's a specific reason your body isn't recovering like it used to, and the fix could be far simpler than you think. In this video, I'm going to share a natural science-backed nighttime ritual that takes just 2 minutes works while you sleep and can help restore the circulation energy and confidence you thought you'd lost for good. Stay with me, because the difference it makes might surprise you. And before we dive in, drop a quick "I'm in" the comments, so I know you're ready to take your nights and your mornings back, and hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. If you've been waking up feeling more drained than refreshed, it's not just in your head, and it's not because you're simply past your prime. The truth is, after 50, a man's body begins to change in subtle but powerful ways, and most of those changes work quietly against you while you sleep. Your blood vessels, which once expanded easily to deliver strong, steady blood flow, slowly lose their elasticity. The inner lining that keeps that flow smooth becomes less efficient, and your circulation, especially to the areas that matter most to your energy performance and confidence, starts to suffer. At the same time, your testosterone, the hormone that drives not only desire but also muscle repair, recovery, and vitality, naturally declines year after year. Add to that the fact that your sleep is no longer as deep or restorative as it once was, and you have a perfect storm. Your body is spending the night in a state of partial recovery instead of full restoration. And here's the kicker. This isn't just about feeling a bit tired or stiff in the morning. This slowdown impacts the very signals your body uses to tell you you're still strong, still capable, still in the game. That morning readiness, that quiet surge of confidence you once took for granted, is directly tied to how well your circulatory and hormonal systems recover overnight. Without deep, uninterrupted sleep and healthy blood flow, those systems can't do their job. That's why so many men find themselves wondering when exactly they got old, when in reality the slide happened gradually, night after night of incomplete recovery, until one day you notice it's gone. But here's the part. Most men never hear you have more control over this than you think. You can't stop the clock, but you can change the environment your body has to recover in. And that's exactly what we're going to do tonight. There's a simple, natural way to tell your body it's time to heal. It's time to restore. It's time to come back stronger tomorrow. It doesn't require a prescription, a grueling workout, or an overhaul of your lifestyle. It requires a small shift in what you do before bed, a shift that works with your biology, not against it. Because when you give your body the right signals and the right building blocks before you close your eyes, you set in motion the very processes that age has been quietly slowing down. In a moment, I'll show you exactly what this is and why it works so well. But first, I want you to understand why the period between lying down at night and waking up in the morning is more than just time off. For a man over 50, those hours are a sacred window, a chance for your body to rebalance hormones, repair tissues, and fine-tune blood flow in ways that no daytime habit can replace. If you waste that window by going to bed inflamed, dehydrated, and overstimulated, you're effectively handing away one of your most powerful opportunities to keep your strength, energy, and performance alive. And tonight, I'm going to show you how to take that window back. And here's where most men unknowingly sabotage themselves. Instead of preparing the body for repair, they do the exact opposite. They pour themselves a late-night drink, thinking it will help them unwind, but alcohol actually spikes inflammation and disrupts deep sleep. They grab a sweet snack, not realizing that sugar sends blood vessels into a state of stiffness for hours. They scroll on their phones under bright blue light, shutting down melatonin production, the very hormone that signals the body to slip into deep rest. Or they eat a heavy dinner too close to bedtime, forcing the digestive system to work through the night instead of letting the body redirect that energy into recovery. These small choices add up night after night, slowly teaching the body to limp through the recovery process instead of thriving in it. And the older you get, the less margin you have to make these mistakes. At 25, you could abuse your nights and still bounce back by morning. At 55 or 65, every missed opportunity to recover fully is like withdrawing from an account you're no longer depositing into as fast. Eventually, the balance gets low, and you start to feel it in ways that go beyond tiredness. Your circulation weakens, your erections lose their strength, your energy dips, and your confidence takes a hit. This is why so many men think aging is a steep drop-off, when in reality, it's the slow erosion of nightly recovery. But that's the part I want to change for you, starting tonight. Because while there are a dozen ways to hurt your recovery, there's also a way to help it, one that's simple, natural, and surprisingly powerful. It's a small nightly ritual that works while you sleep, gently repairing what time has worn down. I'm talking about a 3-ingredient bedtime drink that I've seen transform how my patients sleep, how they wake up, and how they feel about themselves as men. It's not exotic or expensive, it doesn't rely on stimulants or quick fixes, and it won't interfere with your medications when used properly. Instead, it works with your biology to open up blood flow, calm inflammation, and tell your nervous system it's safe to go into deep, restorative rest. In a few minutes, I'll give you the exact recipe, but I also want you to understand why these ingredients matter, because when you know the why, you'll never look at a simple glass the same way again. This isn't about hoping something works. It's about giving your body the very signals and tools it needs to restore strength, reclaim energy, and keep your vitality alive well into the years ahead. And once you experience that first morning when you wake up feeling different, not just rested, but alive, you'll understand exactly why this works and why I believe every man over 50 should be doing it. So let's talk about what's actually in this drink, because the magic isn't in the act of sipping, it's in what happens inside your body once those ingredients get to work. There are only 3 of them: warm water, pure pomegranate juice, and a thin slice of fresh ginger. Simple? Yes. But each one plays a very specific role, and together they create a chain reaction that supports your recovery in ways most men have never considered. Let's start with pomegranate juice. This isn't just a sweet, exotic fruit. It's loaded with polyphenols, powerful plant compounds that act like maintenance crews for your blood vessels. Picture your circulatory system as a network of flexible hoses. When you're young, those hoses open easily, letting blood flow smoothly. But as you age, inflammation and oxidative stress make the inner lining, the endothelium, less responsive. Pomegranate polyphenols help relax those vessel walls, reduce stiffness, and restore the smooth inner surface that blood loves to glide through. That means lower pressure, better oxygen delivery, and more nutrient-rich blood reaching the pelvic region, including the tissues that are essential for strong, dependable erections. And this isn't hype. Research has shown measurable improvements in blood flow in men who regularly drink pure pomegranate juice, sometimes in as little as a few weeks. Then there's ginger, the quiet powerhouse you probably think of as just a cooking spice. Inside your body, ginger is doing something far more profound. It's a natural anti-inflammatory, yes, but it also stimulates nitric oxide production. Nitric oxide is the chemical messenger that tells your blood vessels, relax, open up, let the blood flow. It's the very mechanism many prescription performance medications are designed to mimic. The difference: ginger works with your body's own pathways, not by forcing an artificial reaction, but by encouraging the system you already have to function the way it's supposed to. And the older you get, the more your body appreciates that gentle, cooperative approach. And finally, the warm water. Most people think it's just there to dilute the juice, but it's far more than filler. Warm water slightly widens blood vessels, so nutrients and compounds from the pomegranate and ginger can be absorbed more quickly and efficiently. It soothes your digestive tract, calms your nervous system, and signals to your body that it's time to shift gears from active mode into rest and repair mode. Think of it as turning the key in the ignition of your recovery. Your body starts the engine before you even lay your head down. When these 3 simple ingredients come together, they send a powerful message to your body: reduce inflammation, improve blood flow, and prepare for deep restorative sleep. You're not just quenching thirst, you're creating the perfect internal environment for your hormones, your blood vessels, and your nervous system to do their best work while you rest. And here's the best part: this takes less than 2 minutes to prepare, costs far less than any supplement regimen, and doesn't require you to give up the foods or routines you love. It's a small change with an outsized impact, and once you feel the difference, you'll wonder why you didn't start sooner. Now that you know what's in it and why it works, The real question becomes what actually happens inside your body during those hours after you drink it. Because once you understand the nighttime biology that this ritual taps into, you'll see why it has the power to change. Not just your mornings, but the way you feel all day long. And that's exactly where we're headed next. When you turn off the lights and close your eyes, you might think your body powers down like a machine switching off for the night. But in reality, this is when some of the most critical high-value work happens. Nighttime is your body's prime operating window for repair, rebuilding, and recalibration. And for a man over 50, this window isn't just important, it's sacred. It's the few hours when your systems can finally focus on maintenance instead of managing the constant demands of the day. In those first phases of deep, non-REM sleep, your testosterone is released in short, concentrated bursts. These pulses aren't random. They're the exact moments your body chooses to repair muscle fibers, restore sexual function, and recharge your overall energy reserves. When those pulses are missed or weakened because your sleep is shallow, fragmented, or cut short, you wake up with less strength, less drive, and less confidence in your own body. This is why, even if you get the same number of hours as you used to, you can still feel depleted in the morning. It's not just about time asleep, it's about what's happening inside that time. As the night goes on, your nervous system shifts out of the fight or flight state that dominates so much of your day and moves into rest and digest mode. This transition is not only calming, it's deeply regenerative. Your heart rate slows, your blood vessels relax, and your body begins to direct blood flow toward repair-heavy areas, your muscles, your organs, and yes, your pelvic region. This is when those micro-adjustments in vessel elasticity are made, the ones that allow you to have strong, consistent blood flow when you need it most. And when you've given your body the right support before bed hydration, anti-inflammatory compounds, and gentle vasodilators like the ones in our drink, that process becomes smoother, stronger, and more effective. REM sleep, which comes in cycles throughout the night, is another piece of the puzzle. For men, REM isn't just about dreaming, it's when your body tests and maintains the reflexes tied to sexual function. This is where morning erections are trained and supported. When REM cycles are cut short, that reflex weakens, and over time, so does your confidence. But when you protect your sleep and give your circulatory system the tools it needs before your head even hits the pillow, you're setting yourself up to preserve and even restore that natural readiness. Now here's the danger most men underestimate: every time you go to bed, dehydrated, inflamed, or overloaded with sugar and alcohol. You're not just losing a night of recovery, you're reinforcing a pattern of weak repair. Your body remembers that state and begins to adapt to it, which means each new morning starts a little lower than the one before. The beauty of this nightly ritual is that it interrupts that downward spiral. It flips the signal, telling your body tonight is for rebuilding. Tonight is for strengthening. Tonight is for coming back better. And when you repeat that signal night after night, your body starts to trust it, and that's when real lasting change begins to happen. In a moment, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to make this part of your evening routine, so it works with your schedule, your habits, and your needs. Because knowing why it works is powerful, but actually putting it into practice is where you'll see the difference and feel it every single morning. So how do you actually weave this into your night in a way that feels effortless, something you look forward to, instead of just another box to check? The key is to treat it as a small ritual, not a chore. You're not just making a drink. You're setting the tone for how your body will spend the next 7 or 8 hours. Start about 45 to 60 minutes before you plan to go to bed. This timing is important. It gives your body enough time to absorb the nutrients without sending you to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Begin with warm water, about 6 to 8 ounces, just enough to feel comforting but not heavy. Pour in 2 to 4 ounces of pure pomegranate juice. No blends, no added sugar, just the real thing. Then take 1 or 2 thin slices of fresh ginger, press them lightly to release the oils, and drop them into the glass. Give it a gentle stir. Watch the colors swirl and then sip slowly. Let the warmth settle into you, the gentle bite of ginger, wake up your senses, and the subtle sweetness of pomegranate remind you that this is as much about pleasure as it is about health. When you finish, resist the urge to dive back into a screen or rush around the house. Give yourself a few quiet minutes. Maybe you sit in a comfortable chair with the lights dimmed, or you stretch your legs just enough to keep your blood moving without raising your heart rate. This is where the ritual deepens, because you're telling your nervous system it's safe to downshift, that the day is done, and it's time to hand the controls over to the body's recovery crew. You'll be surprised at how quickly this becomes something you crave, not because of the taste alone, but because of how you feel afterward. Your shoulders drop, your breathing slows, and there's this sense of readiness, not the kind you had in your 20s where you could push through anything, but a calmer, deeper readiness. It's the feeling of your body being on your side again. And when you start stacking nights like this, one after another, you create momentum. The mornings start to change. You wake up clearer, more energized, and with that quiet signal in your body that tells you you're still strong, still capable, still in the game. But before you think this is all about the drink, I want you to understand something even more important. The drink is the trigger, but the real magic is what follows. If you pair this ritual with just a few simple, low-effort habits in the evening, you can amplify the effect dramatically. And these aren't things that require special equipment or a big lifestyle change. In fact, they're probably easier than you expect, and they can help you sleep deeper, recover faster, and see results sooner. Let's talk about those next, because this is where good turns into great. Here's where we take this from a helpful habit to a game-changing nightly reset. The drink itself primes your body for recovery, but when you combine it with a few simple, evening practices, you create the perfect conditions for your system to do its best work while you sleep. And the beauty of these steps is that they're not complicated, they're small, intentional moves that signal to your body. Tonight we're going all in on restoration. The first is gentle movement after dinner. I'm not talking about a workout that leaves you sweaty and wired. That's the opposite of what we want. I mean a relaxed 8 to 10 minute walk, or a light series of stretches that open your hips, lower back, and pelvic floor. This does two things. It keeps your blood circulating to flush out the metabolic byproducts from the day. And it activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the part responsible for deep restorative rest. Think of it as clearing the runway so your body can take off into recovery mode without turbulence. The second is shutting down screens at least 30 minutes before bed. I know you've heard this before, but for men over 50, it's not just about avoiding the blue light, it's about avoiding the mental stimulation that keeps your nervous system on alert. News headlines, social media, late-night emails, they all spike stress hormones that directly compete with the sleep and recovery hormones you're trying to nurture. When you give your brain that buffer, you're letting melatonin and growth hormone rise naturally without interference. The third is controlled breathing. A simple pattern like the 4-7-8 technique, inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7, exhale for 8, can bring your heart rate down, relax tight muscles, and tell your body it's safe to release into deeper sleep. Just 2 or 3 minutes of this before bed can be the difference between tossing in a shallow doze and dropping quickly into the kind of sleep that rebuilds you from the inside out. When you stack these habits, gentle movement, screen-free wind down, and deep breathing on top of the drink, you create a nightly routine that works on multiple systems at once: circulation, hormones, inflammation control, and nervous system balance. And the best part? These small changes add almost no time to your evening. You're not rearranging your whole life. You're just making the minutes before bed work for you instead of against you. And here's something I've seen again and again with my patients. When you start ending your day with this kind of intentional rhythm, you don't just sleep better. You start waking up with more consistency in your energy, your mood, and yes, your sexual health. Those unpredictable mornings where you feel like a shadow of yourself start to fade, replaced by a steady sense of readiness. And once you feel that difference, you'll do whatever it takes to keep it going. Now I know some of you might be thinking, that all sounds good. But how will I know it's actually working for me? That's exactly what we're going to cover next. Because tracking your progress not in a clinical sterile way, but in a simple personal way, can turn a good habit into a life-changing one. And once you see those changes building night after night, you'll never want to go back. The easiest way to know if this is working for you is to stop relying on vague impressions and start noticing specific, measurable changes. Because when you can see progress even in small doses, it becomes addictive in the best possible way. And no, you don't need an app, a smartwatch, or a complicated tracking system. All you need is a simple morning check-in that takes less than 30 seconds but can tell you exactly how your nights are affecting your days. Each morning, before you get swept into the noise of the day, ask yourself 4 quick questions. First, how rested do I feel on a scale of 1 to 5? Second, how many times did I wake up during the night, especially to use the bathroom? Third, did I wake up with that natural sense of readiness, that quiet sign that my blood flow and hormone balance are in sync? And fourth, what's my overall morning energy? Do I feel sharp, steady, and focused, or sluggish and foggy? Write down your answers, even if it's just a number or two. Over the first week, you might see small shifts: one less bathroom trip, a slightly deeper sleep, or a morning that feels a little more charged. But by the second and third week, those numbers tell a story. And it's one you can actually feel in your body. This isn't about obsessing over data. It's about creating proof for yourself that the effort you put in the night before pays off. When you start connecting the dots between the ritual, the habits, and the way you feel in the morning, it reinforces your commitment in a way that no outside motivation can. You stop thinking of it as just a drink or just a walk and start seeing it as a switch. You control a switch that determines whether tomorrow feels strong and steady or dull and depleted. And I've seen this change the game for men who came to me convinced they were stuck in decline. One of my patients in his early 60s had been waking up 3 to 4 times a night for years. Within 2 weeks of adding the drink, adjusting his evening routine, and tracking his mornings, he was down to waking once, sometimes not at all. Another man, 58, started with 0 morning readiness and a self-rated energy score of 2 out of 5. After a month, he was waking up ready 3 or 4 mornings a week and averaging a 4 out of 5 on energy. That's not just a number, that's confidence coming back into his life. The beauty of this approach is that it gives you power over your own progress. You're not waiting for some big dramatic shift to tell you it's working. You're seeing it, feeling it, and building on it day after day. And once you've got that momentum, the next step is learning how to protect it. Because while this method is simple, there are common mistakes that can quietly undo everything you've worked for. That's exactly what we're going to tackle next, so you can keep moving forward without losing the gains you've made. Now here's the truth. Most men don't realize until they've already sabotaged themselves. The very habits you slip back into without even thinking can quietly erase weeks of progress. It doesn't happen overnight, which is why it's so deceptive. You start feeling better, sleeping deeper, waking with more energy, and you assume you've fixed the problem. But then one late-night snack creeps in, or you skip your evening wind-down walk because you're too tired, or you pour yourself that extra glass of wine because you think, what's one night? And slowly, without a single dramatic event, your old symptoms start creeping back: one more bathroom trip, a restless night, a morning without that readiness you were starting to count on. I've watched men undo months of work because they forgot that health is like a savings account. You can't just make one big deposit and expect the balance to stay high forever. You have to keep feeding it, even with small, consistent actions. The key is to make your new habits so automatic that they happen even when you're stressed, busy, or traveling. That means identifying the non-negotiables in your evening, those 2 or 3 actions that no matter what, you will not skip. Maybe it's your pre-bed drink. Maybe it's putting the phone down an hour before sleep. Maybe it's a light stretch before bed to keep your circulation primed. You lock those in as fiercely as you'd lock your front door at night because they protect the progress you fought for. And then when life inevitably throws you off, because it will, you don't wait until everything unravels to get back on track. The moment you notice a slip, you correct it that very night. If you wake twice instead of once, if you feel groggy in the morning, you don't beat yourself up, you treat it as a signal. You ask, what did I skip? What can I do tonight to course correct? That's the mindset shift that separates the men who maintain their vitality from the men who lose it. This is where protecting your gains becomes not just about your prostate or your circulation, but about your identity. You stop seeing yourself as a man who's trying to get healthy and start seeing yourself as a man who already is healthy and who defends that reality every single day. And when you think like that, when you act like that, the habits no longer feel like chores. They feel like armor. Because the next phase of this journey isn't just about holding the line, it's about pushing it further. It's about taking the foundation you've built and using it to unlock even more energy, more strength, and more confidence than you've had in years. And that's exactly where we're headed next. Here's the part that surprises most men. Once you've built that strong foundation and locked in those non-negotiable habits, your body isn't just back to normal. It's primed ready for you to layer on even greater improvements. Think of it like upgrading a car engine. You've done the repairs, replaced the faulty parts, and now it's running smoothly. But if you stop there, you're only getting a fraction of what's possible. When you start adding in small but targeted upgrades, smarter, nutrition-specific muscle activation, deliberate breathing techniques, you're no longer just maintaining function, you're elevating performance. And that shift changes the way you feel in ways you might not expect. For example, you might notice your stamina in daily activities climbs without you consciously pushing harder. Climbing stairs feels easier. Carrying groceries no longer leaves you winded. That morning stiffness. It loosens faster, and you start the day feeling more ready to move. Even your posture changes, shoulders, back, chest open, because your body is finally supporting itself the way it was meant to. And here's the kicker: when your body projects that confidence, the people around you respond differently. You carry yourself like a man in control, not a man in decline, and that energy is contagious. But the real magic happens in the quiet moments. When you sit down at night and realize you're not shifting in your chair to find a comfortable position. When you're in bed and notice you haven't woken to use the bathroom in hours. When intimacy no longer feels like something you hope will work, but something you know will. That certainty doesn't just live in your body, it lives in your mind. It gives you back a piece of yourself that maybe you thought was gone for good. And it's in those moments you understand why all the effort was worth it. Not because you followed a checklist, not because you ticked off boxes on some health plan, but because you built a lifestyle that sustains you without feeling like a constant uphill battle. From here, the path forward is about deepening those gains, learning how to adapt them to every stage of life, and making sure you never slide back into the place you started. Because once you've felt this level of energy, strength, and control, you'll never want to give it up, and you won't have to. Next, we'll step into the strategies that take this from better to exceptional, so that you're not just avoiding problems, you're actively creating the best physical and sexual health you've had in decades. This is where the journey becomes something far bigger than you imagined. When you step into this next stage, something important shifts. Not just in your body, but in how you think about your health. Until now, every move you've made has been about reclaiming what you lost, fixing what's been slipping, patching the gaps. But now the focus turns toward expansion, toward building something greater than what you had before. This is where the work stops feeling like rehab and starts feeling like preparation for the life you still want to live. We stop asking, how do I get back to normal, and start asking, how far can I go from here? That's a powerful question because the moment you ask it, your body responds differently. You no longer move with caution. You move with purpose. You no longer measure your effort against your age. You measure it against your ambition. It's at this point that your morning routine becomes more than a checklist. It becomes a launch pad. That first stretch isn't just about loosening your back, it's about priming your nervous system to be sharp and responsive all day. That glass of water isn't just hydration, it's the signal to your body that today will be one of movement, energy, and readiness. And when you practice those targeted pelvic floor activations or breathing drills, you're not doing exercises, you're reinforcing the foundation of every physical and intimate moment you'll have. The repetition doesn't make it boring, it makes it automatic, so your body works for you even when you're not thinking about it. And the benefits ripple outward in ways most men don't anticipate. You'll notice your mental clarity sharpening because your body isn't constantly pulling energy away to manage inflammation or fatigue. Your mood becomes more stable, not because life suddenly has fewer challenges, but because your brain chemistry is finally supported by better circulation, better oxygenation, and a body that's working in sync with itself. And then there's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you're physically capable, not just in the gym, but in the bedroom, on the hiking trail, in any moment life throws at you. That's a confidence you can't fake, and it changes the way you engage with the world. This stage is about refusing to plateau. It's about recognizing that while most men your age are slowing down, you have the tools to keep building, keep improving, keep surprising yourself. And the truth is, once you get a taste of that momentum, it's addictive in the best possible way. You start looking for the next way to optimize, to push a little further, to see just how much better you can feel. Because when you realize the second half of life can be lived at a higher level than the first, you stop settling, and that's when the real transformation begins. When we step into this final decisive chapter, I want you to pause and imagine something most men over 60 rarely give themselves permission to picture: a body that feels alive again, a mind that's alert, a sex drive that still stirs you with the kind of anticipation you thought belonged to decades past. This isn't wishful thinking, it's a physiological reality that can be coaxed back when you align your habits, your awareness, and your daily actions. And here's the truth I've been leading you toward throughout this journey. Your prostate health and your sexual vitality are not two separate battles. They're one and the same, two sides of the same coin. If you ignore one, the other inevitably suffers. If you nurture one, the other inevitably thrives. Over the last sections, we've peeled back the layers: what undermines you, what science reveals, what habits erode your power, and what tools restore it. Now it's time to tie it all together into an actionable personal blueprint. Not a generic do-this list, but a living, breathing set of choices that you can weave into your day without it feeling like a chore. I'm talking about waking up with a small intentional routine that primes your pelvic floor, fuels your nitric oxide production, and calms the inflammation that quietly sabotages your prostate. I'm talking about reshaping your evenings so that you're not unknowingly triggering urinary issues in your sleep. I'm talking about reframing masturbation not as an isolated act, but as part of a broader cycle of recovery and circulation. This is where you stop reacting to symptoms and start mastering the system. And I want you to understand, mastery isn't about doing everything perfectly. It's about doing the right things consistently enough for your body to remember what it's capable of. Because the truth is, when you're consistent, your body doesn't just hold the line. It improves. It regenerates. It surprises you. Men who commit to these changes aren't just reporting fewer nighttime bathroom trips or stronger erections. They're describing something deeper: a return of self-assurance, a lightness in their mood, even a renewed sense of being in command of their own aging process. That's why, as you take in this final message, I want you to commit not to me, not to this video, but to yourself, that you will no longer drift along hoping things get better on their own. You've seen what causes the decline, you've seen what prevents it, and you've seen the strategies that reverse it. The next step isn't to think about them, it's to live them, starting tonight and every day after, until your body thanks you in ways you can't ignore. So here we are at the edge of a choice that will shape the rest of your years. You can close this video, nod to yourself, and carry on exactly as before. Or you can take what you've learned here and turn it into a living practice that keeps you strong, steady, and satisfied long after most men have surrendered to decline. Aging isn't the enemy, it's the passive acceptance of decline that steals your power. You've now seen that your prostate health, your sexual vitality, and your sense of manhood are not fragile relics of your youth. They are systems you can train, protect, and even enhance if you refuse to let comfort and habit dictate your future. Every man over 60 is handed the same clock, but the way you wind it, the way you maintain it, determines whether it ticks towards strength or frailty. And I'll tell you this: the men who decide right now that they will no longer treat their body like an afterthought, those are the men who write a different ending for themselves. You don't have to overhaul your life in one night. You just have to start. One decision today, one habit tomorrow, one victory this week. Each small step compounds until one day you realize you're no longer managing your health, you're commanding it. And when that day comes, you'll look back and know this was the moment it began. So I'm asking you, man to man, don't wait. Don't drift. Don't tell yourself you'll start when things get worse, because by then, the climb is steeper. Start now while you still have the leverage, the drive, and the time to build the life you want. Your prostate will thank you, your body will reward you, and your future self will shake your hand for the decision you made today. Now go and live like you mean it.